I'm Norzie and this is Nightline, news making headlines. Booster shot can now be given after 3 months for all vaccines. And no more exceptional withdrawals from EPF. The booster shot period for Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccine recipients has been cut down from 6 months to 3 months. In announcing the matter, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin cited clinical and real-world data from the local RICOVAM study by the Institute for Clinical Research that found waning vaccine efficacy against COVID-19 infection.
Selain itu, bukti kukuh yang telah terkumpul sejak 3 minggu lalu menunjukkan bahawa vaksin penggalak COVID-19 berkemungkinan meningkatkan perlindungan terhadap jangkitan varian Omicron. Hasil kajian awal melibatkan 21 juta pemberian dos penggalak yang dijalankan di United Kingdom telah menunjukkan data keselamatan yang amat meyakinkan.
The move was made following the discovery of a confirmed Omicron case in a man in Sarawak who has no history of recent travel abroad, meaning it is very likely that Omicron is now in the community. Khairi, however, added that priorities would be given to the high-risk group, such as those with comorbidities, adding that the booster would be given in age de-escalation approach. He also said the ministry would increase the booster recipient capacity as majority of the adult populations would be eligible to get their third dose in January and February. Currently, those who received the Sinovac vaccine get their booster shots 90 days after being fully vaccinated, while for Pfizer and AstraZeneca recipients, they are recommended to get a third dose 180 days after the second dose. Meanwhile, Khairi said Malaysia has lifted a travel ban on 8 southern African countries that had been among the first to report the Omicron variant of the coronavirus, citing the greater spread of the variant worldwide. Khairi said given the rapid spread of the variant globally, there was no reason to continue with a travel ban against countries in Africa.
So we will stop the travel ban from the 8 southern African countries. Makes no sense anymore because Omicron is coming from all the other countries, and we have seen a decline in the cases in South Africa as well. So we are shifting them from a total ban to high-risk countries.
The 8 countries, which include South Africa, Zimbabwe, Mozambique and Malawi, will remain on a list of nations deemed as high risk, with travellers from those nations subject to additional restrictions upon arrival. Any future exceptional withdrawals from the Employees Provident Fund (EPF) savings has been deemed as unnecessary. In announcing the matter, the EPF said this is because there have been many forms of government's financial aid to individuals and businesses to recover from the pandemic and the recent floods that should serve as the much-needed relief during these difficult times. In a statement on Tuesday, the EPF said its focus now is to continue to safeguard members' savings in line with its mandate and bring members back to restoring and rebuilding their retirement savings to ensure they are able to secure a dignified retirement. As of October 2021, a total of 101 billion ringgit has been withdrawn under 3 withdrawal schemes, namely iLestari and iSinar in 2020, followed by iCitra in July 2021. 2021. The withdrawals have inevitably led to 6.1 million members now having less than 10,000 ringgit in their EPF accounts, of which 3.6 million have less than 1,000 ringgit. Previously, there had been calls for the EPF to allow members to withdraw 10,000 ringgit on a one-off basis as a form of flood relief. The proposal, however, was opposed by the country's union and employer organizations such as the MTUC, QPEX and the Malaysian Employers Federation, who had expressed their concerns over the future retirement of workers in Malaysia and called for the discontinuation of further withdrawals of EPF funds. The government has channelled a total of 34 million ringgit for distribution as compassionate aid or BWI to 34,000 heads of households in the flood-hit states as of Monday. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the distribution of funds allocated by the federal government for flood victims must be made easy and expedited. In his Facebook posting, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the meeting of the Task Force for Post-Flood Management and Preparation for Second Wave of Floods, chaired by Chief Secretary to the Government, Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali on Monday, agreed that the aid would be given in cash. He said this will ensure faster distribution of the BWI to the flood victims. He also shared 3 BWI distribution methods, namely cash handover at the Disaster Operations Control Centre, PKOB, house-to-house cash handover and online cash transfer EFT. And in Pahang, the state government on Tuesday began distributing financial aid to some 18,000 families affected by the floods. The aid consisted of 1,000 ringgit Bantuan Wang Ehsan or BWI provided by the federal government, as well as 500 ringgit in special assistance provided by the state government. Those being housed at the flood relief centres in Pekan were among the first to receive the contribution on Tuesday, which was handed out by Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail. The assistance was also distributed to other victims simultaneously throughout Pahang on Tuesday.
Dengan adanya sedikit bantuan, membolehkan mangsa-mangsa banjir ini membeli sedikit barangan ataupun peralatan dengan kewangan yang ada. Semasa mereka duduk di sini, hari pertama, hari kedua kita tak bagi. Sebab apa, kedai tutup. Kalau nak beli pun tak boleh. Jadi sekarang ni kita tengok dah ada kedai-kedai buka. Jadi saya percaya sumbangan ini tidaklah banyak, tetapi sedikit sebanyak boleh membantukan mangsa-mangsa banjir.
He explained that the state government will also be providing financial aid of 200 ringgit for 6 months to those who had lost their homes due to the floods. Meanwhile, the next of kin of victims who lost their lives in the disaster would receive contribution of 5,000 ringgit. He added that the extent of damage to the victims' houses is still being examined, and the state government will also consider giving out additional aid in the event of a second wave of floods. Club Media Prima on Tuesday continued its charity effort with a flood aid mission in Taman Sri Muda Shah Alam. Joined by the Inland Revenue Board and other organisations, the effort is part of the club's initiatives in order to help reduce the victims' burden.
Misi bantuan banjir ini adalah usaha Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri Malaysia untuk memastikan bantuan itu disampaikanlah, di mana kami telah membuat kolaborasi dengan Media Prima untuk menyampaikan bantuan, dan kutipan telah dibuat oleh cawangan industri khusus Lembaga Hasil Dalam Negeri Malaysia dalam lebih kurang RM2,500 untuk bantuan ini.
More than 30 volunteers participated with non-governmental organisations, NGOs, with several restaurants also seen joining hands in the relief mission. Parties involved include Club Media Prima, the Specific Industry Department LHDN Jalan Duta, led by its director Rosnita Ahmad, Rakan Media Prihatin, Restoran Ali Maju and Pertubuhan Prihatin dan Muhibah KL dan Selangor. The volunteers distributed aid in the form of essential items such as cooking oil, rice, biscuits, sugar, food and cleaning equipment.
Dan kini kami menghantar bantuan kepada penduduk-penduduk kawasan Batu Muda dan seterusnya ke Banting dan Kelang selepas ini. Keperluan barang asas, dan kami ada juga bawa jet untuk mencuci rumah yang keluarga yang memerlukan.
At the same time, the workers' welfare was also taken care of as members of Club Media Prima also visited and distributed aid to colleagues affected by the floods.
Masa keadaan banjir air tu naik, saya dengan wife memang tak ada kat rumah. So kami just monitor dalam CCTV kat rumah je lah, tengok je air naik. Dengan sayu hati lah tengok sikit paras air tu meningkat sampailah TMB dah putuskan elektrik lah. So time tu pun air dah agak lepas pada para pinggang kot, macam tu lah. So banyak kemusnahan jugalah, itu je lah. Lepas tu terima kasih kat Kelab Media Prima lah kerana sudi datang bagi bantuan kat kami masa-masa banjir lah.
Terima kasih kepada NGO yang terlibat, Kelab Media Prima dan Kesatuan Eksekutif itu sendirilah dapat membantu saya sedikit untuk meringankan beban saya kat sinilah.
Food and essential items were donated by LHDN and Datuk Jawahar Ali of Restaurant Ali Maju, as well as pillows and mattresses contributed by Sati Sri Warisan, which were distributed to about 100 residents of Taman Sri Muda, including Media Prima staff affected by the floods. The Meteorological Department or Met Malaysia has issued a yellow alert of continuous rain for Sabah, Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang and Johor following the current monsoon surge, which is expected to continue until January 3rd next year. In its latest statement on Tuesday, it said the continuous rain is expected in Tawau, Sandakan and Kudat in Sabah starting Tuesday until January 2nd. Continuous rain is also expected to occur all over Terengganu and several areas in Kelantan, namely Tumpat, Pasir Mas, Kota Baru, Jeli, Tanah Merah, Bachok, Machang, Pasir Putih and Kuala Krai from December 30th until January 1st, 2022. In Pahang, among the areas to experience continuous rain are Jerantot, Maran, Kuantan, Pekan and Rompin, while in Johor, the district of Mersing. According to Met Malaysia, the monsoon surge is expected to bring continuous rain and strong winds that can cause floods in low-lying areas. The number of flood victims in 4 states, namely Pahang, Selangor, Kelantan and Negeri Sembilan, have declined on Tuesday evening, while there has been no change in Malacca. According to the Social Welfare Department's disaster info application, there were 16,281 individuals from 5,207 families housed at 107 relief centres in the 5 states. The number has decreased from the 19,099 people from 5,882 families involving 120 relief centres recorded earlier in the afternoon. In Pahang, a total of 10,735 victims were still housed in 76 relief centres on Tuesday evening, compared to 11,776 in 83 centres in the afternoon, with areas in Bentong, Temerloh, Bera, Maran, Kuantan and Pekan still affected by floods. In Selangor, the number of flood victims decreased to 5,399 in 27 relief centres this evening, compared to 7,503 victims in 36 centres in the afternoon. However, according to the Department of Irrigation and Drainage's official flood information portal, the water level at Sungai Bernam in Rimba KDR Sabak Bernam, which was at the alert level this afternoon, had reached the warning level as of 5:15 p.m. Over in Kelantan, the number of flood victims decreased to 68 people from 21 families as of 5 p.m. on Tuesday, compared to 78 people from 23 families this afternoon, involving one relief centre, namely Sekolah Kebangsaan Tok Deh. Meanwhile, Negeri Sembilan, the number of victims reduced slightly this evening to 53 people from 17 families who are still housed in 2 relief centres in Jelebu. Finally, in Malacca, the number of flood victims remained unchanged at 26 people from 8 families as of 4 p.m. today, with all of them housed at Sekolah Kebangsaan Penghulu Benteng in Jasin.
2022. Bold measures, tough reforms. What areas can be further improved for Malaysia's economic recovery in the coming year? What are the key challenges for the nation's growth? Will Malaysia's economic recovery gain momentum in 2022? Malaysia's economic outlook with the World Bank on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Serba Dynamic and its senior execs charged with feeding false financial info. The details when we return. Welcome back. Serba Dynamic Holdings Berhad and 3 of its executives were charged at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on Tuesday with allegedly furnishing false financial statements to Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad. The group and its executives were charged in 2 separate Sessions Court on Tuesday, and those charged were Executive Director Datuk Syed Nazim Syed Faisal, Group Chief Financial Officer Azhan Azmi and Vice President of Accounts and Finance Muhammad Hafiz Othman. All 3 pleaded not guilty to the charge under the Capital Markets and Services Act before Sessions Court Judge Sabariah Othman, who then set 300,000 ringgit bail with 2 sureties for each of the 3 accused. The trio were also ordered to surrender their passports and report once a month to the nearest Securities Commission office until the disposal of their charges. Elsewhere, before Sessions Court Judge Hamidah Muhammad Deril, Serba Dynamic Non-Independent Executive Director Abu Bakar Uzair on behalf of the group also pleaded not guilty to the same charge. The accused parties, if convicted, face a term of imprisonment not exceeding 10 years and a fine not exceeding 3 million ringgit. The court has fixed January 27th as the next hearing date. In Kelantan, 2 men believed to be the leader and member of the Adik Mat gang involved in armed robbery, criminal intimidation and drug trafficking were killed in a shootout with the police at Kampung Batu Papan, Gua Musang on Monday. State Police Chief Datuk Syafi'in Mamat said the duo, aged 29 and 36, died at the scene.
Dalam masa yang sama, pasukan polis telah menembak balas dalam menyelamatkan diri dan telah berjaya menembak mati kedua-dua lelaki tersebut. Lelaki pertama berumur 29 tahun dan yang kedua berumur 36 tahun. Lelaki pertama ni yang merupakan ketua satu kumpulan yang dikenali sebagai Adik Mat.
He added that the shootout occurred when the police raided the gang's hiding place, a double-story hut in a jungle near the village at 11:30 a.m. Upon inspection, he said, police found 2 semi-automatic firearms, 45 live bullets, 3 bullet shells and 1,200 psychotropic pills worth 12,000 ringgit. Datuk Syafi'in said initial investigations found that the gang had been involved in several cases of robbery and criminal intimidation using firearms in the state over the past 3 years. After 2 weeks of escaping from the magistrate's court lockup in Tangkak, police have finally arrested an ethnic Rohingya fugitive, also known as Long Tiger. It is learned that the 32-year-old suspect, Abdul Hamid, was arrested in a special operation carried out by the police on Tuesday in Sungai Petani, Kedah. It is also learned that police arrested another man in his 40s at the scene who was believed to have assisted Abdul Hamid in his escape from Johor to Kedah. Police are still tracking down several other individuals believed to have also aided Long Tiger after his escape. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani confirmed the man's arrest, and Johor Police Chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Piche is expected to hold a special press conference on the arrest on Wednesday. Still to come, China tightens Xi'an lockdown as daily cases rise for the fourth day. Front. China's northwestern city of Xi'an has further tightened lockdown measures and rolled out a fifth round of mass testing as it reported the highest daily count of local symptomatic COVID infections since March 2020. According to officials, the ancient city in northwestern Shaanxi province, with a population of 13 million people, reported 175 new local symptomatic cases on Tuesday. This brings the total number of local symptomatic cases to 810, making it one of the worst community outbreaks in China since the initial wave of coronavirus infections in Wuhan. As cases continued to surge, authorities further tightened lockdown measures, requiring all residents to stay at home unless permitted to go outside for mass testing. Previously, each household was allowed to send one designated person out to buy groceries every 2 days. The lockdown is China's largest since Wuhan, which sealed off 11 million people. Australia recorded another record surge in COVID-19 infections on Tuesday as an outbreak of the highly infectious Omicron variant disrupted reopening of the economy while state leaders argued over domestic border controls. The country reported 11,264 new cases of the coronavirus in the previous day, once again surpassing its peak of a day earlier. There were 5 COVID-19 deaths reported, taking the total fatalities to just over 2,200 since the start of the pandemic. The rising case numbers have led to mandatory self-isolation for thousands of workers in the hospitality, entertainment and airline sectors, the sectors worst hit by lockdowns, resulting in cancelled theatre shows, closed restaurants and postponed flights. The new outbreak has also fueled a resumption of fractious domestic politics, which defined much of the pandemic as some states resist calls to remove internal border controls. Mbappe scoops the main prize at the Globe Soccer Awards. Stay tuned. The Globe Soccer Awards, Paris Saint-Germain star Kylian Mbappe scooped the main award at the ceremony in Dubai on Monday as he emerged the winner of the Best Men's Player of the Year, beating the likes of Lionel Messi, Robert Lewandowski and Cristiano Ronaldo. Mbappe has scored 36 times for PSG in 2021, as well as contributing a number of assists, and won the UEFA Nations League with France. Poland striker Lewandowski, on the other hand, was voted the fans' player of the year, while Manchester United's Ronaldo was honoured for breaking the men's international goal-scoring record with Portugal. For other categories, Ronaldinho emerged winner of the Player Career Award. Barcelona Femini star captain Alexia Putellas won the Best Women's Player. Manchester City's Chiki Begiristain was named Sporting Director of the Year, and Roberto Mancini scooped the award for the Best Coach. And that's it for Nightline this time around. Before we wrap, we leave you with footage from Thailand's biggest science fair that was held alongside National Science Day in Bangkok, Thailand. Among the items on display at the event were robots and remote-controlled gadgets and many more. I'm Norzie. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe.